Hello my friends, and welcome to this behind the scenes video of, well, URG. It's been 10 long years since I've actually started this channel, and August 9th August 9th 2010 is when I first started Underrated Games. It has been a long time since for so long I've been covering 10 years of nothing but cult classics to well-known titles and even games that felt unpolished of some sort, to what now I'm doing are fan translations as well as unpatches. So for those who don't know what unpatches are, basically in simpler terms, they are the originals. The versions of the games that I play now are unlike when I first started. Like for instance, one of my earlier Let's Plays was the Lunar series. Now what I didn't know back in the day was there was a patch version, or rather an unworking designs version of both Lunar the Silver Star and Eternal Blue. So therefore, it's quite busy outside. Anyway, so therefore, years later, I have brand new versions of certain games, like as you can see here, Godslayer, otherwise known as Crystalis over here in the US. Godslayer is the original version. It was the original title of Crystalis. So, all the games I've ever done back in the day is what I had when I had a physical copy of it. I no longer need the physical copy because, oh hey, everything's digital now, so there's no real reason for me to keep around the physical copies. So, therefore, had to get rid of the physical copies because most of the stuff is online, and well, you can find it anywhere. So there are a couple of games I did on stream. Two in which you see here is Captain Tsubasa Super Striker and Kyoto Nintendeande, which translate over here as Legendary Ninja Cats or Samurai Pizza Cats. And then, let me see, I did Rad Racer on stream. Let's see. Anything else I did on stream? I think those were a couple of sports games. Basically, when I was doing a test run of this emulator, I did most of the stuff on stream for a few Sundays back, and you know, I haven't done Sunday streams in a while, and I think because I don't know. I don't know. I guess it's because, you know, it's Sunday for one. I'm supposed to, you know, not overdo it. You know, I already have a schedule of doing 3 streams a week, which is on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday each evening. So a couple of these games, as you can tell, I do have like translations and, you know, hacks So, you know, like for instance, Parody World Monster Party, it's the original. So if you're wondering, Parody World Monster Party is the original compared to what was brought over here as Monster Party. It's the same thing with the Cryon Conquest, which over there is called Magical Dorothy, or Magical Dorothy, which is basically a take on The Wizard of Oz, done in Mega Man fashion. It's the same thing with what I showed you before with Super Chinese. The Super Chinese series is that Kung Fu heroes into Little Ninja Brothers and Super Ninja Boy. Oh, and I almost forgot about Ninja Boy. So you got Kung Fu heroes, Little Ninja Brothers, Ninja Boy, and Super Ninja Boy. And along with that, it basically squeezes in parts from the Magic of the Scheherazade and Hero no Ken, otherwise known as Flying Warriors. So therefore, yeah. It basically is everything squeezed together in the Culture Brain franchise. All except for, you know, the baseball game. You know, Ultra Baseball. Anyway, I mean, you know, Baseball Simulator, Ultra Baseball Simulator, because that was the version that they had, but you know, that was the last version of it. Aside from that, I should tell you the back history of how the channel was made. You see, back in the day, for those who don't know, my username, or the name I use, is that of my mother and my nicknames. So it's a fusion of our nicknames. She was the Pookie, I was Izzy. So her nickname was Pookie. Mine is Izzy. You know. So the thing is 7. We just thought of a number. Oh, 7, that's it. When I stream 79, yeah, 1979, that's the year I was born. So there you go. And the thing about this was how the name came up is through, well, the fact that my mother, when she was alive, she used to get me a couple of games I never heard of, and not many people knew about it. Like, say, for instance, King's Knight. Nobody has ever heard of King's Knight, but yet you guys heard of a company called Square that later became Square Enix. Right? It goes without saying that the titles I got growing up, I just found them to be more interesting than, say, getting a Mario game or a Zelda game, or even, you know, the most notable titles throughout all the history of video games. And even now, nothing has changed since. It's like everybody can play the trending games, but I'm not really into much of the trending games. I only play what fits my vibe. You know, if I really cared about, say, the views and whatnot, yeah, I'd be doing all sorts of gotcha shit like Fall Guys and Genshin Impact, and those games that basically are just basically gotcha. Like, I don't really care much for those kind of games. And, you know, it's kind of boring just to see, oh, hey, this, you know. the same thing over and over again. And gamers these days just don't get it. It's like you think, oh, we're gonna make partners here because of this and that, and I'm like, that's it. That's the only reason why you're playing this game. You're wasting money on this game because it's a gotcha. Okay. It's like gamers now. They're wasting money on, say, a compilation of games that have been around since time immemorial, and yet they got the nerve to bitch and whine and cry about, oh, this person is like, you know what? Just get yourself an emulator. Get yourself RetroArch. Get yourself Missing. Get yourself, ZSNES, SNES 9X. P2S2P2. Get PCSX2. Get Dolphin. Get Citra. Get whatever. Download the same game. Hell, get DuckStation. Get Kega Fusion. Get whatever. You can even get Redream. You can get MGBA, Desmu. I'm naming everything off from what I have. You can get all these and then some, and you don't have to even go in your pocket. Gamers don't know that because, it's like you're really not desecrating anything, and don't try to be pure about it. There's nothing pure about the fact that if you play the original game, you're cheating yourself. No, it's an experience. Because even now, this is the reason why if I had to play over a game, I'm going to play over a game the way it was meant to be played. The way it originally came out. It's like, for instance, the games I have. Vi, Powerful Mill, Lunar 2, My Tendoji, what was the others? Godslayer, Parody World Monster Party, the Super Chinese series, that sort of thing. That sort of thing. Once I put this down, that's what happens. Anyway. The thing is, when you think about it in that aspect, you are really cheating yourself by just saying, oh, I don't want to play those off an emulator. I know there's some people who do that. But me, I don't mind wanting to basically play the game as it was meant to be played. Under the original difficulty. Like for those who have ever seen, if you've ever seen Bayou Billy, those who have bitched and whined about Bayou Billy, the game was patched, right? When it was brought over from being Mad City. A game like that, and I mentioned this before, but certain games, when they get patched, they basically cut out at least 20% of the game. And that 20% is usually the story. Like, say, for instance, Godslayer. You kind of get a feel for what the story was about in Crystals, but you're missing that 20% of the why. The full blown explanation of Godslayer or Crystallis. In Godslayer, you would get the full 100% because what the whole title is. Like I said, the whole title, instead of Crystallis, is called Godslayer Sonata of the Distant Heavens. Right? It's like if I was playing Ushio and Tora again, basically it's a short game, but yet it's long because it basically draws out in 4 chapters, and 4 chapters is long enough to get all your characters maxed out. And the battles be like, okay, they might feel like they're endless, but the way it is, it's like you could basically drag them out to where, oh hey, you can constantly grind all these characters until you get to max level, until you reach the cap. Then you can go in and you can start beating up on the boss. Now, let me tell you, the hardest thing about that game right there, Ushio and Tora, the final boss itself, you could not do auto. Basically, it was the only battle I had to do like manual. I had to go full manual. It took me 40 some odd minutes to about an hour to do the full fight, but it took me longer off camera because I was grinding off enemies just to reach the level cap, because you couldn't really beat the game unless you did the following: you level capped every character, you kept 2 items that basically kept your whole team fresh. You had to keep at least 1 or 2 healing items, and it's basically one of those battles you couldn't really, it's not like other RPG battles, but it's more like you really have to think, do you really want to risk it for the biscuit? That basically says a lot. So it's, as I said, it's basically, if you play the original, you kind of wonder why it's terrible, because without the patch, you would have played it as is. Like, as I said, Mad City was this. You didn't have to really worry too much about the fighting part, the shooting part, or even the driving part, because every stage had a health bar. On top of that, the shooting part, you didn't have to worry about, the boss, because the boss didn't really have like some armor. Like in the US version, it had super armor, so you basically had to like pelt it down with all your shots almost, which was a waste of your ammo. And plus, on top of that, if you ran out of ammo, that's your life right there. It's almost like Operation Wolf. I don't like that. I don't like those kind of rules. That basically your ammo is your life. It should not be like that. But it is what it is. But still, you wasting ammo like that on the US version, that's when they patch up. That's when the translation part is lost right there. So there you go. So it's about the same as saying what I've been doing with other games. I've been playing a lot of the originals over, say, the original Bayou Billy. I had Bayou Billy, then all of a sudden I don't have it anymore. So now what I'm doing is I'm playing the original Mad City. It's the same thing with the last video series I did was, before I did this, was Super Chinese World. Super Chinese World is that of Super Ninja Boy, but with everything in it. And with everything in it, that basically says, oh, hey, this is the thing. This is the thing that's most important. the story. Most of the story was cut out, so therefore, it is what it is. So Super Chinese World 1, 2, and 3. Like I said, 2 and 3 were never brought out. 1, 2, and 3 were never... Well, 2 and 3 were never brought out. But it's the same with Super Chinese. Super Chinese 1 came out over here as Kung Fu Heroes. 2 was Little Ninja Brothers. 3, we never knew what the hell 3 was. We didn't know it existed. So as I said, it all goes back to when I had, the original titles. And I always wondered, why was it so hard to beat one part of a game? And I didn't realize, they ported over, and not many people know about it. So when I was doing a lot of these original versions, it just made me think, this changed the whole game, because I'm actually playing the original version on its original difficulty, the way it's meant to be played, just to enjoy it. Because it was the same with Arcana. I've never played Arcana like that, with basically a hack that helps with getting more levels. You gain more experience from your battles. You gain better levels and, stat increases. That sort of thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful thing. And plus, it's more of an experience. So, last 10 years I've been doing this. I sort of been rediscovering how to play games. And the one thing I really do enjoy about doing a replay of a game is that I don't play it the second time around. Like Legend of Dragoon. When I did it as a Let's Play, I played it differently than what I played it on PS1 or PS2. Take your pick. And plus, on top of that, I gave myself a challenge, just doing a base edition run. And at the same time, got all 50 Stardust, which could have went to going to Faust and getting an extra item, but I said, no, it'll stop at basically saving a life, and then after that, go for the final boss and, finish the rest of the game. Still on the challenge of base edition. And, that's something I enjoy doing, a little challenge to myself, not, a requested challenge. A requested challenge it's fine and dandy, but it's not as enjoyable as a self-made challenge. Just to basically say, I could beat this game with the same vim and vigor if I was doing it with, using all the attacks and everything. But how about if I just do it with this one attack? Oh, hey, boom, boom, boom. Just. I said, well, you might not enjoy it, but I do. That's just it. And even when I'm doing streams, that basically changed the game too, because hey, this version of the game, okay, I never played this version of the game. Okay, let's do it on stream. Some games I like to do on stream, and some I like to do as a Let's Play, or as I like to call it, URG. And even what I'm doing now, like the next batch of videos you're going to see, including this one, it will have the little brand of underrated games on the side of it. Now, I'm kind of thinking, should I make it bigger? Should I make it smaller? Or, another thing I should do is like, should I put down, underrated games by, you know, or this title, and say, underneath it, you know, which version this is, because there are two versions. There's the Game Arts version, and then there's the Working Designs version. I think I might consider doing that, because really that's one of the things I'm kind of considering at this point, as far as refreshing the channel, but yet still keeping it just as is, because hey, I like what I do, and I enjoy what I do. And if people don't see it that way, well, you're missing out. It's the same thing with me streaming. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, you're really missing out. I ask the question sometimes, like, well, what are you doing this for? So are you doing it just to get numbers? Are you trying to gain something from it? Or so me personally, no, I just want to expand on what I'm doing on YouTube. I'm currently doing a lot of underrated games, which basically, even from the Wii, I said not many people know about what the Wii had, but at the same time, you're sort of curious. So hey, let me pique your curiosity by showing you what I got and what I remember from this game. And hey, who knows? I might beat this game at the same time that I'm playing it. Because, I got plenty of games I've covered in the past. And, there's so many, much more games out there that are getting fan translations. They're getting unpatched. They're getting, fixed up to where if you're a fan of the original series, if you enjoy what you liked playing back in the day, you can enjoy it again by getting this version, instead of saying, oh, I'm going to pay out the ass for it. $20 to $50 for this one game that you can get straight off the net for absolutely nothing. And all it will cost, it only will cost the little bits of hard drive space for your computer. That's all. It's just that simple, just as easy. You don't have to do much except say, oh, are you willing to do this? Yes? Okay, good. I don't know why it's doing it, but anyway. No, really. I mean, that's what you have to think about. Do you really want to pay out the ass for something that you get for free? Or if you're one of those people like, oh, I gotta have this game. The choice is yours, people. That's all I'm gonna say. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to stop playing something modern day. It's still, I'm still doing modern day stuff. It's just I'm not doing what everybody else is doing. Because if I did what everybody else was doing, I would get bored of it so easily. And at the same time, what I'm doing is just, playing a game the way it's meant to be played. So there it is right there. So after 10 long years, I finally managed to say, you know what? I've been through a lot with. I've been through so much as far as video games are concerned. And even when I was going through with GameStop, I just found games that just basically caught my eye. They didn't cost that much, and yet I enjoyed them for what they were worth. So not even so much like the day one stuff. It's like, it's day one. Everybody and their mom would be playing it and everything, and they'd be slapping around videos like nobody's business. Me, why aren't you? I'm not interested. I've gotten to the point where I'm becoming eccentric about my games. I'm being more mindful of what I play and the content I post, be it here or on Twitch, and I bring it over to YouTube and whatever else. But it is what it is. I tend to enjoy the games I tend to look at now and just say, you know what? Let me replay this game. Let me play it differently. Let me see how it'll go after I'm done playing with it. You know, after I'm going through point A to point C with it. After 10 years. After 10 years doing underrated games, I'm still doing what I'm doing. And regardless of what it is that everybody else is doing now, titles like these, they're forever, man. They are truly forever. You can say what you want, but you know the truth of the matter is, what we grown up with and how we look at it now, some may say it's retro. I'm like, no, this is vintage. Because sometimes, you know, people get it confused about there's retro and there's vintage. Vintage is more the term of the games we grew up with, from Atari to, say, the Golden Age through Nintendo and Sega. It's like, it was basically the Showa period of video games. The 80s and 90s were the Showa period, and then after that was the PlayStation, Microsoft era, which was the Heisei era. So, for me, yeah. Give me Showa any day. Maybe a little bit of Heisei, but not too much. But not too much of the Reiwa period. Basically, the PS3 and PS3, 4, and 5, Xbox One, and S. You know, the newer version period. I'm gonna call it that. To me, yeah, give me the Showa and partial Heisei period of video games. Because you never know what you can find, and on top of that, there are plenty of games out there that still are being covered by many other people who put the time and the effort to basically translate these games. Then on top of that, put them on site so that we can actually check this out, try it for ourselves, and just say, hey, you know what? This is worth a play. This is worth picking up. This is worth doing whatever with it. I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna share with my friends. I'm gonna do, you know, ABC, D, F, G, you know, whatever. But I think that's enough, though. Under 10 years and still counting, I'm still PI7, the underdog of the underrated, the Tenkaichi of gaming, and if you haven't heard it here first, you're hearing it now. Welcome to Underrated Games. We still play games here under the radar. Until next time, welcome to the new season, and enjoy the ride.